Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Welcome to the Blue Chip Podcast by fans for fans. This is your host Cody Potter. How y'all doing today? We had a good game. We had the Commanders Giants week 1. Happy. I'm not going to sit there and say it was the best performance ever, but it was a good performance. They got the win. That's ultimately what was most important. But as a breakdown podcast episode, we're going to talk about the nitty gritty. We're going to get real with it. We're going to talk about the good. We're going to talk about the bad and some of the ugly. The ugly was definitely the Giants' offense all game long. It was pretty painful to watch. They needed 4 personal fouls to get 3 points on their first scoring drive, which told me early that our defense was here to play. We were definitely by far the more physical football team, and it was obvious from the break. That said, the biggest thing for me watching the game was the fact that we were sloppy. We were sloppy from the get. We were pretty much shooting ourselves in the foot as the game was being played. I really wanted to see a little bit better execution from us. Kind of expected to see a little bit better execution from us, but that said, it was still a good game from our offense. I mean, we did win by over double-digit points. It was crystal clear watching the game that we should have won by more. There was a lot more to be made into that game. We missed Terry. That was a wide open pass deep. A shot that should have been made, a shot that would normally be made. You can blame it on the training camp. You can blame it on the contract. It's a play that Jaden Daniels usually hits. He could have floated it out there, could have left a little bit off of it. I would have expected a little bit more from it. From them too, but as I was watching the game, as I went back and rewatched the game, the biggest thing for me and the biggest takeaway from it was very, very obvious to me that the defense of the Giants was bracketing Terry. Every play that you would watch back, that was going somewhere else, there was a safety over top of Terry McLaurin, so it allowed other guys to feast. This was the point of adding the Deebo Samuels. This was the point of adding the Jalen Lanes. This was talking about making somebody else step up and execute and perform. Terry did have a couple moments, but not what you would expect from Terry, not the normal from Terry, like you would say. Trying to get this freaking video to play, I'm sorry. But, so it's not just me talking. But the biggest things that I did take away were the defense. They're big. This is a big defense. This defensive front, man. As I said all offseason, stopping the run was going to be pivotal for this team. It really matters coming down the stretch. Later in the season, if you want to hit the aspirations that this team has after last year, we have to be able to stop the run. Daron Payne. I'm going to shout out Daron Payne because Daron Payne played like a menace yesterday, man. It was... I love Daron Payne. I have always loved Daron Payne. I'm a big fan of what he does. I'm a big fan of what he brings to this team. Super pumped and super excited to see what Daron Payne can continue to add as this season goes along, man. You can just tell, man, this dude in Alabama the last year before we drafted him, man, was a absolute terror. Came here. I always liked Daron Payne more than I like John Allen. That's not taking anything away from John Allen, but I've just always been a bigger fan of Daron Payne. I always felt like he was the more explosive athlete. I felt like John Allen was a super high effort, super high motor guy. I always felt like Daron Payne had the same motor, but with like actual elite skill set. I think this is the time of Daron Payne's career where he gets that due and that run. Him and Javon Kinlaw looked really good inside. The size of them two is really, and the explosive ability of both of them. It showed up yesterday, man. Daron Payne was present in the run game. He was present in the pass rush. Everything that you expect, everything that you saw from Daron Payne throughout his career as a pro, throughout his career in college, he put that on tape yesterday, man. It was very nice to see him looking. He looks motivated. He looks like the leader of this defense on that front. Wise looked really good. Honestly, the togetherness, like I said, the size of this defensive front, man, the togetherness, the way that they played. It wasn't about having some superstar edge player. It wasn't about having like four guys across the defensive line like the Giants have, and just, each guy getting after it, making their own play in their own moment. It was about four guys lined up every snap, playing together, knowing where their lanes were, knowing their responsibility, and then playing to their responsibility, and the unit thriving as like I said, as the togetherness of the unit. Secondary looked good. Loved the physicality, man. Always very, very big proponent. Was very vocal about the Marshawn Lattimore thing before the trade even happened, and then it did happen. I very, very much loved the player. Looked very, very good yesterday. So did Trey Amos against Malik Neighbors. So did Marshawn Lattimore against Malik Neighbors, and so did Mikey Samerstill against Malik Neighbors. Quan Martin, this dude's about to have himself a year. And Will Harris, man, I'm shouting out the whole secondary. The whole secondary looked good. That play to Terry McLaurin was the one that I was talking about, man. Like, just a tick off, man. I don't expect Jane Daniels to miss that many more times as this season goes along, man. Like, when you have him that beat, I mean, honestly, you put that ball up, give it a little bit of air, and let your receiver make the play, run under it. Like I said, but we were sloppy. It was a sloppy game for the offense, man. And honestly, the fact that we still won by double digits, it just told me really, really clearly that this team and we have elevated in 2 seasons, 2 off seasons. This team has elevated to a different level. We are no longer the team that is playing 500 football. Like, it was very, very clear yesterday, the way that we were getting after them, the way that we were hitting them, how physical we were with them on both sides of the ball, on the offensive line and on the defensive line. It was very, very crystal clear to me that we were out to set a tone, set a precedent. I was getting flustered with the flags. I'm not usually one to get into the referee game, but it was pretty obvious, man. Like, there was, I don't know, man. I can't even, honestly, man, like, the calls just were kind of mind-baffling to me. I'm never going to be a proponent of blaming the referees. If you got to beat them, you got to beat them too. Whatever you got to do to win the game, man, and whatever it is. When you see this many flags on the highlight reel of a game, yeah, that tells you something. They negated a Noah Brown touchdown. They're just flags all day, man. Honestly, it was one of the most horrible officiated games I think I've ever seen. But that said, don't really care. We won the game. We did what was most important. The offense. I thought the best player that I saw yesterday on the offense was Brandon Coleman. That dude belongs at offensive guard. This dude is about to have himself a year. He gets after it in the run game, gets after it in the pass, pulls well, runs to the other side where he pulled. Brandon Coleman's about to have himself a year. Looked very, very good next to Laramie Tunsil. I will say both of our offensive tackles looked very, very good, considering you're going up against Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Abdul Carter. Hats off to them, man. Brandon Coleman and his reps against the big boy, man, that they got, dude. How am I forgetting his name? Anyway, very, very good. Against that defensive line, this offensive line played exceptional. To highlight the player you just saw scored that touchdown right there, Bill. Ja'Cory Crosskey-Merritt. I'm never going to get this right calling him Bill, but just Bill. But he's an explosive running back. I think this team has found their game-changing back. The way that we were using Austin Ekeler early in the game was a little bit concerning to me. I just remember watching the first 2 drives, and he did not come off the field. And I was like, man, this is not going to be how this offense really wants to run this game plan throughout the season. As much as I love Austin Ekeler, I want Austin Ekeler here late in the season. I think he's a hell of a football player, and he's a hell of a back, but you do not want him being the guy carrying the load. So when I was watching him for the first 2 drives, getting every rep, every touch, you're going to run him inside. You can't just run him outside. You can't just do one thing with a player, just systematically and schematically, and just to be able to know that when he's on the field, you're going to do different things with him, and the defense has to account for it. Yes, you can't just run him outside, and you have to mix it and match it with him. But I just felt like, I was like, man, early on in the game, I was like, man, it cannot be the all at Austin all the time offense. And, it was definitely just, it was kind of like puzzling to me just seeing it early and like that early in the game, just seeing him get that many touches. I thought Bill would have a little bit of a role earlier, but ultimately it did end up balancing out. I was very, very impressed with what I saw from the offense, from the run department. Man, this was why you made all them additions to the offensive front with the Josh Connerlys moving Brandon Coleman inside. We still don't even have one of our best offensive players on the field right now in Sam Cosmi. And then welcome to DC Debo, man. I gotta say, Jalen Lane with that catch right there, that was pretty impressive, man. He had a drop on the play right before, and I was like, man, he's going to make it back in the next play. For Jaden Daniels to go back to Jalen Lane, again, one of the things I was talking about all camp about somebody stepping up and making plays. Jaden Daniels getting comfortable with other guys besides Zach Ertz and Terry McLaurin. We saw some of those fruits yesterday, and again, you saw some of the chemistry missing with Terry McLaurin and Jaden Daniels. You got it together with the 13-yard out route, comeback play, which is something that I know Terry McLaurin can hit in his sleep. I know it's something that Jaden Daniels can hit in his sleep. I know that touchdown missed pass early in the game. That's something that they can hit in their sleep too. So it's something that I expect to clean up. Again, welcome to DC Debo. This play, for the touchdown, man, it was really, really cool watching him hit that little reverse and then back cut it. Bill out there blocking and stuff like that, man. Just seeing the receivers, seeing the tight ends, seeing the running backs blocking. This team they believe, they're bought in, and you want to see this team go as far as they can, because they are clearly putting in the work behind the scenes. It's not about one player, it's about the all collective results, man. I think there's a lot of players here that, veterans and young players that are, bought into what this team is looking for, man. Daron Payne has never won a Super Bowl. Zach Ertz has won a Super Bowl. Bobby Wagner has won a Super Bowl. But, Marshawn Lattimore is a vet that has not won a Super Bowl. Deebo Samuel has been to a Super Bowl multiple times, but, I think he wants to get over that hump. So when you are looking collectively around this roster, we have guys that have the experience of getting there, and then we have got a lot of guys that have been close, and we have a lot of guys like Laramie Tunsil and things like that that are like, man, this is my time to make this run. And then you have the quarterback that every single one of them believes that can get them to making that run, and you see this team on all three levels of the defense. You see this team on special teams. Dude, man, they were getting after it yesterday on special teams, man. I just got to say, I saw the vision on all three levels yesterday. Again, this is the New York Giants. You beat the team that you had to play. This is going to be a much tougher road going forward, and it starts not even next weekend. It starts this upcoming Thursday. So this is a short week, short-lived victory. You got to get back to work today instead of, holding off till Tuesday, getting the veterans some rest. I'm sure they're going to do that. Zach Ertz probably won't practice this week. I'm sure Bobby Wagner probably won't practice.